Joining me on the podcast is Mark Robinson, the Superintendent for Buckeye Central Local Schools. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
What's going on? So we were talking a little bit before we started recording that COVID's kind of changed a little bit of things going on the way you guys do some things at school, right?
It really has, and I think it's a change that'll probably be permanent long term. Just a lot of things when it comes to making sure the school's clean. Cleanliness is very important. The social distancing still takes place within our schools. And just the way we do things day by day has changed, and probably for the good. Right now we're a little bit fortunate. I was mentioning to you before we started the podcast here that the numbers seem to be declining a little bit, and that always helps. I don't want to say that too loud because the minute I say that, then the numbers start to ramp right back up again.
Sure.
But overall, things are going very well at Buckeye Central.
Good. So what's going on? You guys are over halfway through the year now.
We are. We're halfway through the year. It doesn't seem possible. We played Sandusky Perkins last night in girls basketball, and it doesn't seem possible that we're only about 3 games before the end of the season, before tournaments start.
Wow, it's like that doesn't seem possible at all. It's going fast.
And it always tells you when you get to the end of the winter sports season that it's just around the corner that we start planning for the upcoming year. You know, believe it or not, the 2022-2023 school year, and starting to talk about things like graduation, which is coming up in May, and a lot going on in the schools right now.
What are some things going on? What do you have? What's happening?
Well, one of the things that we have done this year, this is the first year that we've been in our STEAM facilities, which is the STEM, it includes the arts, as well as our pre-KK. And a lot of things going on since we've been in for the full year in those areas. We're starting to schedule for next school year, for the 2022-2023 school year. Looking at testing, the state testing is coming up in the spring, so that's coming. Tournaments, as I indicated, the basketball and the wrestling tournaments are coming up. Just kind of in the middle of the winter, looking forward to spring types of activities that are going well for us right now.
Right. Now, have you guys been, they talk about the shortage for teachers and bus drivers and support staff. Is you guys affected by that at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's probably one of our biggest challenges right now is that we truly do not have individuals that are coming in and substituting on a regular basis. And for those that do, we say thank you. A lot of accolades to those persons because they're really keeping us going. But as far as substitute teachers in general, there just aren't that many persons that are doing that right now. And a lot of that has to do with COVID. Right. The other area that we're really struggling, and I know we're not unique in this regard, is with bus drivers. So anybody that you know or that we know that would like to be a bus driver,
sure,
we are opening our doors and welcoming them because we are having a difficult time finding persons and professionals who will transport our kids. Not sure why that is, although I've always said it's unique having all the kids behind you instead in front of you.
Right, sure, yeah.
But with bus drivers, and that also for us affects our custodial crew because our custodians are also, they also have their license to drive bus. So what we do is we have our normal drivers and then we have the custodians driving a lot. And it affects what we do with our custodial staff also.
Yeah, because it pulls from that too, right?
It does.
Yeah.
And I talked about the extra cleaning earlier, and I talked about how we keep the facilities, up to date. We have a lot of overtime hours when it comes to custodial to try to keep everything the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Because they're driving as much as they're doing custodial duties right now.
Oh yeah, I bet, yeah. So, do you think COVID's changed the way you're going to maybe clean the schools from now on?
I think it has. I think we're just a little bit more cognizant of when you go into a classroom, we sanitize the desks, the chairs, those types of things. We have backpack units where we can spray. We used to do it daily. Now we're doing it a couple times a week where we can go in and we can spray the sanitizing spray throughout the room to kill any of the whether it be COVID or even the flu.
Sure, I was going to say it probably cuts down on the flu too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one of the things a lot of people don't talk about, you don't hear a lot about the flu.
Right.
In the last 2.5 years, you don't hear a lot about it, but people do get sick with the flu, and I think it cuts down on that also.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, not this year, but last year when we were all in school and we were all masks, we had the best attendance year in our school history.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Now, we can't say that was because of masks or it was because of the cleaning, but it was because of all of those things that were taking place that our attendance was extremely high in comparison to what you would call a normal year
Right.
pre-COVID.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, good. Those masks prevented everything. Wow.
So yeah, staffing's one of those things that we're continuing to struggle with. I don't know if struggle's the right word. Just an area that we really need to be focused on to make sure that we have the right persons in the building to work with our kids.
So, anything coming up for the schools here in the near future?
One of the things, and I made a few notes here before the podcast, one of the things that we have coming up is, like I said, we're starting to prepare for next year. We have a lot of staffing situations where we're going to need to hire additional staff. Right now we're looking for a special education coordinator. We have an art teacher at the high school we're looking to replace. So a lot of our efforts will be directed towards finding the right persons to fill those 4 or 5 positions that we have open. And that's unique for a small school like ours, to have that many in one year. So we're going through that. We're going through the staffing. Like I said, we have the winter tournaments coming up in basketball and wrestling. We are hosting, as a site, we will host the Division III tournaments.
Okay.
So that's coming up in the athletic area.
Yeah.
Like I said, state testing is around the corner, coming up in the spring.
Yeah.
Another thing that we're doing right now, it's kind of funny, it seems like we're always doing something to renovate and modernize within our district. Coming off the steam in the pre-K, we are going to renovate our media center or our library this upcoming spring and summer.
Okay.
We'd like to make it an area that is very kid-friendly, even like I guess I'd say a collegiate setting, like a collegiate student union, for lack of a better term, but just a place where kids can go in and they can read, they can work on their computers, they can get together and do study tables, those types of things. So that's a big project. It's about a $800,000 or $900,000 project that we're going to start as soon as the kids are done in May and go throughout the summer.
Wow. Library, the media centers are called out. The libraries have changed a lot, haven't they, since we were at school?
They have. If you go into our media center now, it's very nice. It houses all of our books, etc. And what we want to do is we want to turn it into that student union, if you use a collegiate term. I always tell people, they get a little bit upset when you talk about renovating it, because they said, we're not going to burn the books. The books are still very, very valuable to those of us as educators. But that has changed too, because we don't need to hold as many titles as we have in the past, because so much is electronic these days. Most of our kids who are taking the CCP courses, the College Credit Plus, they may not even buy a textbook. A lot of times they work on the computer. So one of the things that we're doing is we're putting a lot of stations in the new media center where they can come in and they can put their computer down and they can do their work electronically. It is different than when I was in school.
Sure, right.
When it was basically, desks and chairs and books.
Yeah.
And now it's more student-centered.
Well, Mark, I'd like to thank you for coming in and hanging out with us on our podcast today.
Okay, I appreciate being here. It's always fun to talk about the schools and about Buckeye Central. It's just a great place to be, and appreciate having the opportunity to share.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.